So we're going to wrap up this topic today, this week. Let's do that. 129. Separate there. 129. All right, one more time. Page 129, everybody. And we're going to talk a little bit more today about transformations. More specifically, we're going to do rotations here. We look at translations, reflections, and now we'll just do a small kind of deep dive into rotations. Now, as we'll do in our notes here, we're going to take a look at rotations that are still 90 degrees, like we've been doing. And then we're going to talk some things about non-90 degree rotations. I'm not going to kill you on these because these are just kind of a pain, and it doesn't really go anywhere. So we'll talk about the big idea of it and leave it at that. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk here. All right, here we go. We got ourselves a corner grid. We have some point in quadrant 1, all right, x, y, and what happens to that point when we do that first rotation? We're going to rotate that 90 degrees counterclockwise. So there's a pattern happening here, and that's going to happen with questions 2 and 3 in just a moment. So we're going to come back to this warm-up here, actually, if we go through the next page, and see if we can figure out the pattern that is, say, happening here with the rotation. If you remember this pattern, cool, more power to you. If you don't remember this rotation, cool, I don't care, because you're going to have your patty paper here. So really, before we get into that one, let's flip it and let's use your patty paper. And what I'd like you to do then is take that triangle ABC, and what do we want to do here? We want to rotate this triangle 90 degrees counterclockwise. So as we did at some point a couple weeks ago with your patty paper. All right, remember on your patty paper, we're putting 2 things on there. First thing is we're going to trace onto that patty paper what you want to rotate around. What does it say to rotate about? We want to rotate about the origin. So I always like to put a mini XY axis right there at the origin on my patty paper so that I can keep track of my turns. And then what's the other thing we're putting on our patty paper? Well, the pre-image, ABC. So those are the 2 things I'm putting on my patty paper. And please label those points, because when we get ready to rotate this and you put your pencil underneath the patty paper, where is A prime, B prime, C prime going to land? And some of you are not doing a great job about labeling your image. We always want to label that final image. So rotate that 90 degrees counterclockwise. You got to remember which direction counterclockwise is and how many turns of the paper is 90 degrees. Yep, it's 1 turn. Now, counterclockwise, if you need to follow the clock there, feel free to. But counterclockwise, okay, we're in quadrant 1. Where should we be landing in that triangle? What quadrant? If you're doing it correctly. We should be landing all that triangle into quadrant 2. Now, as you rotate that 1 turn of the patty paper, make sure that patty paper's origin is back on there, but it's 1 turn. And label out where does A prime, B prime, and C prime, where are those all landing at? Okay. All right. Check me as well, but somebody for A prime, somebody landed at -1, 2. Okay. That's what we just say is A prime. Okay, B prime. Did somebody landed at -3, 1? And then C prime, did somebody landed at -4, 3? And if you can rotate that with your patty paper, we're good to go. Okay. Now, when I go through those, what I want you to try to see if you can do then is, there is a pattern happening there. Now, if you can see the pattern, more power to you, like I keep telling you. But if you can't see the pattern, that's fine, because you got your patty paper. But We want to go back here in just a second to that previous page and try to come up with maybe some type of pattern that's happening there with the coordinates. We did this last week with reflections. When we reflected over the x-axis or y-axis, whatever we were doing, we saw that one of the coordinates stayed the same and the other one became its opposite. When we did this rotation 90 degrees like this, anybody see a pattern that's happening there, Grant?
They kind of become opposite reciprocals of coordinates. Like,
Okay, keep going there.
like the x changes from, like, in the pre-image, it goes from 3 to -4, which is the negative for y.
Okay, so Grace, I saw a hand with you. What were you going to say? It's kind of the same thing. So off that, I heard the word opposite. Now there's no reciprocals here, but happening here, but I saw what he was saying. But what is also happening to those coordinates? They're kind of flipping, right? So as he was saying, 3, 4 became -4, 3. And what that meant we did here was we go from x, y to the y now is the x coordinate, and the x is now back here. And then the sign changed, right? Yep. Our sign changed as well. So let me go back in and add that. Yep, the sign of that one changed. So we are at a +4, that then for the y value, that then became a -4 right there for that. The 3 just came to the y coordinate. And that pattern right here happened for all of the other 2 points, right? Now, if we remember that pattern, cool, great. If you don't remember that pattern, you got your patty paper. So when we come back now to this one, okay, if we start off here in quadrant 1 at XY, we rotated it 90 degrees counterclockwise, which we just did, what would XY then be written as? Yep, -y x. The coordinates flipped on themselves, and that first coordinate is its opposite. It's the -y. Now go back to your other page. And let's do this again as well. Let's see what type of pattern happens here. But let's do that at 90 degrees clockwise. So let's go back to that original pre-image. Okay. And rotate that original one, ABC. Let's call it A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. And create me that next one then. Okay? But doing a rotation of 90 degrees clockwise. Where is that going to put that triangle at, or quadrant? Take that original one, ABC, rotate it 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. What quadrant do we land in?
4.
You're going to land in the quadrant 4, right? So when you do that one, excuse me, there's then should be a pattern happening off of that one as well. And if you can find the pattern, cool. If you can't find that pattern, cool as well. You got your patty paper there. All right. All right. We're going to call those the double primes. Oops, wrong button. Okay. So if I take A, which was back at 2, 1, where is it going to be at now if you did a 90 degrees? Where is A double prime going to be at? It's going to be at 1, -2, right? Okay. And we'll call that double prime. B was at 1, 3. So check me as well, but will we have B double prime at? 3, -1. And C is up there at 3, 4 to start off with. Check me on there. Should be at 4, -3, 4, -3, right there. So when we rotated that direction, kind of comparing what we start off with, where we landed at, anybody see kind of a generic pattern we can create with that rotation? What happened there?
Switched again, and then the y became y.
Okay, so we switched again, and when you said that, very good, I caught that there. So on this one, as we see, we went from 3, 4 to 4, -3. We flipped it, and the x, when it started off as a positive, flips it to its negative in that location there. So back to that previous page. Okay. This rotation now, this is a rotation about 90 degrees about the origin. This is going to become rewritten as what? Y comma negative x. It's a shortcut. If it's a shortcut you remember, great. If you don't remember it, that's fine too. We've got that padded paper there. Now the last one that's going to be there is a rotation about 180 degrees. So let's go back to that last one. Not previous page, I should say. And let's do one more here. I know it's getting a little messy, but now let's go do that last one. Rotate that 180. Does it matter what direction that we rotate? Clockwise or counterclockwise? Doesn't matter? Does a 180 matter? No. A 180 either way, if you're not sure, take your paper and do that. Okay. Rotate it clockwise 180, rotate it counterclockwise 180, and think about what it does then. Okay. And one more time, there should be a pattern that happens there. And if we can see it, cool. If not, that's fine too. You got your padded paper, you guys can rotate that direction. As you slide your pencil underneath of there, trying to figure out the pattern happens. All right, check me as well. Well, we've done A prime, we've done a double prime, so let's finish it off with a triple prime. All right, A was at 2, 1. Somebody got -2, -1? And I'll do, like I said, that triple prime. B is at 1, 3, so what do we got? -1? Okay. And lastly, 3, 4 for C gets me -3, yep, -4. And when you always take a step back, you should see that triangle is the same shape and size. It's an isometry. And like I said, if your paper, if you weren't sure, if you rotate it clockwise or you went counterclockwise, it should give you the same shape, right? Okay. So it doesn't matter which direction you do it when you do a 180. So what happened there? If I keep following that 3, 4. Okay, yeah, that 3, 4 for C. That C prime, C triple prime landed at just the opposites, right? So for the last one there, go back to that. We start off of X, Y, we do a rotation. The X and Y didn't flip on us this time, but what happened? Yep, I forgot the negative right here. Okay. So, quick shortcut pattern. Is it short? I don't know. But that is what's happening off of 90-degree rotations about the origin. If we do ones with you, that's what they're going to be like. Okay. Now we're going to look at some non-90 degrees in just a moment, but I'm not going to go crazy with those. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the next pages. And maybe. All right. Let's take a look on this page and let's flip it to where that page is, 131. All right. What I do want to talk to you guys about is the last big thing here is the last notation style for a rotation. So we use that capital R. We saw capital R with reflection as well. So when we did the reflection, I told you, you have to tell me what the line of reflection is. Something like y equals 2, or reflect over the x-axis, whatever. But here with the rotation, you need to have two things. And those two things are, first off, what is the point of rotation? The ones that we just did, the point of rotation was about the origin. That is that E right there. What are you rotating about? And then you got to tell me, well, what is the angle of rotation? Are you going to do 90 degrees, 180 degrees, or are you going to do 45 degrees? And what do you also have to tell me? Which direction to go? So I know at one point we had mentioned it, now today we're going to talk about it, is putting either a positive or negative in there. If you tell me a positive, it means one thing. You tell me negative, it means the other. Counterclockwise or counterclockwise, depending if it's a positive or negative in there. And then pre-image, and in return you get your image. Okay. So let's just jump in there. Let's use that notation style. And right down there below, what they had done was taken this point A, they rotated it about E, 90 degrees, to give me A prime. So let's talk about writing that notation here for that rotation. So rotation, they went about point E, and then they went an angle of rotation. So that angle of rotation, how much did we rotate it? 90. And which direction do we go? Clockwise or counterclockwise? We went counterclockwise. And then when we go counterclockwise, is that a positive or negative? And look at the little box off the side there. It tells you as well, right? A positive rotation turns it counterclockwise. So we're going to leave that as 90 degrees. And what do we rotate? We rotated A and got in return A prime. That's how we write our rotation style. Now, let's add another one here while we're talking about it. Let's throw in a double prime. We'll do another 90-degree rotation. Well, let's write that one out. Let's write that rule. Back to A, kind of reset yourself. Back to A to create a double prime. So what's that function rule going to look like? Rotation, we're still going about point E. How many degrees this time? What's my angle of rotation? Yeah, so it's still 90 obviously, but I need to have a negative in there because the direction that we went with that is clockwise. So make sure, again, you know which direction clockwise, counterclockwise is. And because we're going clockwise, we need to put a negative off there. And what do we just rotate? A and got, yep. Okay. It's all about that positive and negative there. Okay, don't overthink it. We just need to know positive. That's our default to go counter, and negative is clockwise. Okay. Now what's happening here? These are all isometries. So what's true about the relationship between the segment EA and EA prime? What's something that's true off of there? They are still congruent. Okay. The rotations that we keep doing and doing and doing are always isometries. We've looked at translation, reflection, and rotation. Those three are isometries. Same shape, same size for the pre-image and image. All right, let's go with it. Next page. And let's go ahead then, and I want you to do that rotation, and then I would like you to write the rotation rule that we just talked about. So on that first one there, letter A, rotate point B 90 degrees counterclockwise. So where is B prime going to be located? And it does just kind of eyeball it. You can use your patty paper, but just kind of eyeball that. All right. Where is B prime going to be located? And then off the side of that, write me the rotation rule. Make it look like that rule that we just been writing on the other side then. Use that capital R. Tell me the point of rotation. Tell me the angle of rotation. And then tell me what did you actually rotate. Because on this one here, B prime would land in, I would say, either one of two locations. Only one of those is correct. Is B prime going to be on the left side of E or the right side of E? It's going to be on the left. So this is a what? What did we just say? 90-degree counterclockwise rotation. So B prime should be there. And what's the rule that you just created? I'm sorry? 90. And then, yep, to get B prime. That's what I should see there. Okay. If you put a negative 90 there, then where should B prime be located? It should be on the other side. Okay. Take the other one there and run that below that. Do me a 180 counterclockwise, and then write me the rule for that one. So where's that C prime going to be located? Kind of like diagonal to it, right? Yeah. Yeah, C prime should be right there. Based off that rule that they told you, is that 180 going to be positive or negative? It's a 180 that is counterclockwise, so counterclockwise is positive. And take that last one below there. If you haven't done so yet, go give me point D. Now, it's a 65-degree clockwise eyeball, okay? I'm not going to get your protractor. You should kind of have an idea what a 65 degrees is. If you want to get your protractor, fine. But 65 degrees, we know it's going to be what? Less than 90, not quite halfway, a little bit past halfway, kind of in between halfway and a 90-degree rotation. So where is that point D going to be located? And then the other part that I'm most concerned about is which direction you're going with that when they say clockwise. Okay? Then follow up by writing the rule off of that. So is that D prime going to be above or below? Is it going to be kind of above it or below it? On the left or kind of on the rightish? It's kind of in this weird spot. Yeah. So clockwise, 65 degrees. You know, here's where a 90-degree rotation would be at, right? And we're not quite 90. We're not quite in the middle there. So give or take. That didn't sound good. Give or take, right about there-ish is where that D prime should be located, right? Then after that, what do we have? Rotate about E, and we are doing negative 65 this time because it says clockwise. Okay. If we can do that, I'm good. Okay. I'm happy off that. All right, let's flip it. Let's keep talking here. Don't care about that. Let's look at the next page. Still don't care about that. Now, to do the non-90-degree constructions, that's what those instructions are doing for you. We have to get out several things. We need to get out a straight edge, we need to get out a protractor, and we need to get out a patty paper. We have to use 3 tools there to do non-90-degree rotations. I'm not going to kill you on that because it doesn't go anywhere. If you can do a 90-degree rotation with your patty paper, I'm happy. That's all you need to be able to do. What I do expect you to at least have in your head then is, what does a negative 30-degree rotation kind of look like? What direction does it go? And where should be kind of looking at? So on that number 8 down there at the bottom, okay, when I look at letter 8, number 8, letter A, we want to do and take this segment VH, and we want to rotate it 75 degrees about point E. So I want you to kind of get in your head a general idea of where VH is going to end up at. Okay. So if you were to take your don't take your paper. If you were to take your patty paper and rotate this about point E, where is that H going to land? Is it going to go this direction, or is it going to go that direction? Is it going to go clockwise, or is it going to go counterclockwise? Okay, that's the big thing I want to hear. And then just, again, rough it out, okay? We know what a 90-degree rotation look like. Are we doing a 90-degree rotation? No. So I'm just looking for kind of a rough picture of VH here. So if I rotate this, what do we just say? 75 degrees. All right. VH should look something-ish there. Probably a little bit further away, actually. Come on. Oh, can't do that. Stupid thing. Maybe a little bit further away. Now, another thing is, too, when I rotate that thing 75 degrees, which is this point going to be here? That's going to be correct. H prime, and this will be, because which one was kind of the line leader there? H is going around first. If you said negative 75 degrees, which point would be kind of line leader then? V prime, right? Okay, that's what I want from you. If you can do kind of that visual of which direction to rotate it, that's all I care about. We're not going to make anything exact. It's just not worth our time. We found out first our part B is a typo because do they give you a picture? Sure not. So let's make in there a picture, a Q, and let's make MN over here on the side. We want to rotate that thing negative 30 degrees. So I'll give you a second to jot that down. We were going to rotate this thing negative 30 degrees. So when I see that negative 30 degrees, get it locked into your head, which direction are you going? You are going clockwise because it's a negative rotation. So when I rotate this thing clockwise 30 degrees, you don't need to go crazy on it, okay? 30 degrees is going to put just a little bit of a turn, and you're going to get something, again, like that, okay? Not to scale by any means, but that's what it should be roughly like. I want you to know what direction to turn it based off that positive or negative. If I gave you a segment that would look more like this, that would have been what, a positive rotation. So that's what I want you to take away from today. Okay? Is that positive, negative? Oops, wrong way. All right, you need to double check, but I think that finally wraps that part up. It does. So those are our rotations. Tomorrow we're going to come in, we're going to do a little bit more rotations. We talked about that, also symmetry. And we'll leave it at that. So we pass out the assignment for it. We talked about the assignment that you modified to submit the first questions. Again, if you need more kind of answers, know what's that. All right, let's take a look at this assignment here. Number one, A through D. That's what